Welcome to the next lecture of module regression, and in this particular lecture we'll be talking about hands-on code using decision tree regression module. Okay, so in the previous intuition video you have seen how decision tree works, how it separates out the parameter and leads to the final output. So in this particular lecture we'll be performing a hands-on code to understand how decision tree is implemented. And as in the previous lecture, the support vector one, I have used a Boston dataset. Same approach I'll be using over here. It's just the difference between the models we are using. Okay, so for this lecture I have already written my libraries over here. The only change is the decision tree regressor. I'm importing it from tree module in scikit-learn library. Okay, so let's load our data libraries. Now the data we have is the Boston data as you have shown before. Okay, so that's the data we have. That's the data interpretation, okay, understanding for you. And then the data we have. Okay, so we have seen all this stuff over here, right? So processed our data, there are no null values. Then we'll split these values into input and output. Okay, so these are input values. Wait a second. Yep, so these are input values and that's our output value. Okay, that's our output value. Now we'll scale our data so as to bring the entire data into a fixed range. Okay, and then that's the data shape we have. Okay, so we are splitting our data in the same ratio, 20%. Okay, now we have to use decision tree model over here. So for that we have to initialize our model as we have done in the previous lectures. DTR means decision tree regressor. Then we'll import our decision tree. So decision tree regressor. Okay, initializing over here, and then we'll fit our data. We'll train this model. So DTR dot fit. We'll pass on the training data we have. So X train and the Y train. So the model will learn the inputs, and now it's time to predict. Our model is ready. So Y predict equals to DTR dot predict. So what do we need to predict? We need to predict the X test values. Okay, so here we are. So these are the results we have, Y predicted values, and now we'll be comparing these values with the original data we have. So for that, mean scared mean scared error, right? And then we'll pass Y predict and the Y test value, that is the actual output. And okay, it's Y predict. So you can see that the error is reduced. We are getting 38% of error in this case, right? So this is how we used a machine learning model. The only change was we have to import a decision tree regressor and we have to play with these parameters, right? So these are the parameters I have explained you in the video. Need not to worry about. You can play with them. You can select which combination will suit the best. And also you can see that if we take testing size of 30%, then what will be the changes? Okay, so now we have 354 values in the X train part, right? And we are training the model, right, predicting it, and now the error is reduced. So that means in this case the model has learned better, right? So you can test your models on different data sets. Okay, so if you think your model has learned the concept, then you can stop your training part over here and then you can test on different data sets, right? So this is how you play with your models, your data. It's entirely up to you. You have to reach to a point where you are confident that yes, your model is perfectly trained and it has all the intuition about your data, right? So this was all for this lecture. Thanks for watching this video and keep following.